Okay, here we go to Fusion to Blender Beginner CAD 04, where I'm going to take the drawing here, which I drew in Fusion 360 before, and I'm going to draw it in Blender. Okay, let's just go ahead and get started here. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and delete the camera and the light source just to get stuff out of the way here. And then I'm also going to go ahead and turn on statistics because I want to talk about vertex counts up here. Now the statistics here will show you your vertices, edges, and faces in your model. Okay, so I'm going to start off by going into edit mode and moving my origin to the bottom left corner here. So I'll go to my front view, I'll select this corner, Shift S, cursor to selected. That moves my 3D cursor to that vertex. I'm going to tab to go back into object mode. I'm going to go to object, set origin to 3D cursor. Then I'm going to go to that. And then that's going to move my origin, that little orange shot, to there. I'm going to go to object mode, and I'm going to press Alt G to clear my location, and that's going to go ahead and put my origin at 0, 0, 0, and messing with it like that is going to help my modeling. So if I look at my object, I got 50 by 30 by 40. So I'm going to go ahead and start by modeling this one inside out. I'm going to model this a couple different ways. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with a box that is 30 by 30 by 20. So I'm going to try to model this inner box here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my box here. I'm going to go tab, go into edit mode. And what I'm going to take advantage here is of the snapping tool. So I'm going to go to my front view. I'm going to turn X-ray on by pressing Alt Z. And then up here you'll see this little magnet icon. And if I turn that on, what I can do is I can actually just draw, I can actually just drag these vertexes here. So if I look at that, all of those are selected. And then I can just press G, and then as I drag them, they'll snap. Now what's interesting is that if I hold Control, that will actually toggle my snap. So even though right now my snap is on, when I hold Control, I can freely move it. I'll let go Control, and I can snap it normal. All right, and then I can press Shift Tab to where that's going to highlight. And then, oops, let me go back to my front view, Shift to pan a little bit. And then I'll go ahead and I'll move this up. Now I can also grab these vertices and I can press grab and then Z. And then you'll see it'll go loosely here, but then if I hold Control, I can snap while this. So you can turn that on and off. Oops, screwed that up. Let's see, grab Z. Now I can also use the numbers as well, but I'm just going to go ahead and drag this time. There we go. And boom. All right, and then I'll go to my right view. Then I'm going to go ahead and move this 30. And then I could also just do this by saying grab Y and then 28. And actually it's going to be negative because I want to go the other way, right? So there's different ways of going to that. Okay, so then I'll go back to my front view, and then I'm going to go ahead and I want to go ahead and put some then I'm going to go ahead and extrude these faces out to get the next part that I want to, because if I go back to my part here, it's 50 on sides, so I'm going to do a 10 extrusion pulling out from there. So I'm going to grab the sides here, I'm going to extrude these vertices, and I'll drag them 10. I could do the numbers. I'm just going to use the snapping and the grid this time. I'll click there. I'll go ahead and grab these vertices. And I'm just doing that to kind of create these faces. I could also do the same thing by moving to face select and grabbing these faces and then just saying extrude and then 10. It just really just comes down to what's the path I want to use. I just like using the vertices sometimes, so I'm going to use X-ray in that. So then I'll do extrude, say 10. There we go. And I'll go ahead and I'll grab these. I'll say extrude. I can control drag. So it's, again, the key is it's just using different methods to get to the same place. And then I can turn this off. If I turn the extrude on, if I turn the the snap on there, I'm just not holding the control key. So just basically control when you're working with this, toggle snapping on and off, shift tab to turn the snap back off. Okay, so now that I have here, I'm going to go ahead and add some loop cuts to get the spaces that I want to here. So I'm going to do control R, and then I'm going to put in 2 loop cuts, move to the right click to snap into the middle. Then there we go. And then what I'll do is I'll use this to basically, I'll just delete these faces to add the parts that I want here. Okay, so I'll need to put a loop right, I'll need to put a hole right there, and then I'll drag those down. So what I will do here is I will move to edge select mode, and then I will delete that edge there, and I'll go down to the bottom, and then I'll delete, and I'll delete this edge, and then I will delete this edge. All right, and then I will just fill these faces. So I'll shift here, delete those. Not delete. I want to fill. Press F to give me a face there. And then I am going to, I'll do this, and I'll grab Z, and I'll move that down 10. Now this is what I want to highlight here with the vertices. So if I go 10 negative, right now those lines are at those lines and points, really the vertices, are right on, bring that back down. Grab Z, and I'll say 10 negative. So right now they're sitting right on top of each other. And then I'll grab the edge over here too, delete that, delete edges, and delete edges. Now what's also interesting is I can also take advantage of snapping as well. So if I go here and if I change my snap target to say vertex, right, and then I'll go ahead and just turn it on right here, I can grab these two edges, shift click, grab, yeah, there we go, and grab and I'll move them down, and then you'll see that little box, so they'll snap right to it. So again, right now I'm taking advantage of the fact that I'm moving them, I've selected along my increment, but snapping and changing your snap target is also very useful as well. All right, so I'll go from here, I'll select those two, I'll fill that face, and then what I can do here is I'm going to select these edges here, fill that face, and then I'll have this face right here. Okay, so then that should give me on it. Let me go ahead and fill in this one too. And I'm just selecting these edges and then pressing F. Okay, so then that goes ahead and gives me my object. Now, one last thing before I finish this one up is we talk about like manifold edges, and really what you want to do is make sure you don't have any overlapping or doubled vertices. So right here, if you'll see, my vertices kind of have 0, 64 selected. If I press A to select everything, you'll see I have I have all the 64 collected. So I'm going to press the M key, and that's going to bring up the merge menu. And what this is going to do is this is going to merge vertices by distance, and it's going to say merge vertices based on their proximity. So if I click merge by distance, you'll see you have the menu down here. Then you'll say it changes to 58. And basically all of those vertices that were on top of each other are now merged. And what you want to do with that is to create a manifold mesh. Basically it's just the math to keep it a watertight mesh, and that you don't have faces on top of each other, and I'll demonstrate that a little bit better here. So here goes a simple one here, just built with minimum vertices, but I want to show different techniques of working with these, so now I'm going to go ahead and build it a different way. When you go ahead and model things, you can model things kind of inside out or outside in. Right here I started with my base rectangle and then I moved out, but when you start talking about ways and strategies to build models, sometimes you want an even and distributed mesh. So with this example, we have a low vertex count as we possibly can. I'll go ahead and save this. I'll save this, and I'll save this as part 04-1. There we go, that blend. I'll save that. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to do a different one. So I'll just Control N, start with the general. There we go, and I will go ahead and turn my statistics on because I want to talk about merging for vertex counts. All right, so again, I'm going to delete and I don't have to delete the light or the camera. I just want to minimize what's going on here. I'll tab again into this, and I'm just going to keep just taking that vertex to the 0, 0 because it's going to help since I'm going to do a lot of dragging and just where I position it, cursor to select it. I'll tab out to object mode, object, set origin to 3D cursor, and then I'm going to say Alt G to clear the location. Now I can go ahead and drag all of these like I did before, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to press the N to bring out the properties menu. And I'm just going to go ahead and change my dimensions using this. And what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to model outside in. So I'm going to start with the large space envelope and I'll bring that back down. So I have 50, 30, and 40. So what I'll do is I'll go here and I'll change my dimensions to 50 here in the X, and then that's me in reverse. And then I'll change them to 30 in the Y, Right, and then I'll change them into 40 in the Z. So if I do that, go back to this. There you go. Now I have my block here. Okay. Now I'm going to do this a couple different ways, but now what I'm going to do is, whereas the first time I did minimum vertex count, I'm just going to go ahead and put in some cuts to give myself a more distributed mesh. So I'm going to tab to go into edit mode, excuse me, and I'm going to hit Control R to add loop cuts. And I want basically just to go along units of 10 here, so it's 50 watts. So that's 4 cuts here. Move those and then right click. I'm going to do Control R. I'm going to put 3 cuts here, left click, and then right click so that what they do in the middle. I'm going to do Control R, and then I'll put 2 cuts here, right click to put those in the middle. So then basically I have these being 10 units in my spacing of my vertices. And if I go back and look at my model here, I'm just basically taking advantage of that. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and turn X-ray mode on, and I'm just going to delete the vertices. Now, the cool thing about X-ray mode is that when I drag it like that, then it'll have all of the spaces that I want there. I'll delete those vertices, keep those up at the top, and then I will delete these vertices. There we go. All right. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, excuse me, and then I'm going to go ahead and just extrude. Actually, I'll go ahead and do this edge too because it's going to make this easier. So I'll delete that edge, and then I'll have the edge down here. Oh, actually, I'll come back to that one. So what I can do now is I can just grab these individual edges. I'll shift click, and then I could also use my snapping here, but I'm just going to go ahead and do my, well, I'll turn on the vertex just so I can do it different. So I can toggle these, but I can go these multiple ways. I can say extrude Z, and then I can just do 10. If I hold control, I can snap to that point like this. Then I'll say extrude Y. Oh, excuse me, extrude X. There we go. And I can just say 10. I can say extrude X again. I can say 10. So again, I can snap. Right now, I'm just taking advantage. I'm going to snap to this one. I'm just taking advantage of the fact that my dimensions here are kind of nice. But if you were doing something, oh, that's going to be an extrude in the Z direction. If you're doing something where you kind of want to snap the geometry, the snapping tool is very, very useful. Okay, and then I'm going to go back to this one, and then I'm going to select my edge here, delete the edge, and then I'm going to go here and delete that edge. Okay, and then I'll go back to these ones here, and then I will extrude Z. I'll just snap for these ones. Extrude X. Snap to that one, extrude X, and then I'm just holding control here, and then if I just turn it on by itself, I'll extrude X again. It snaps by default, and then I can hold control if I want it to turn off. Okay, there we go. All right, I'm going to turn snap back off. All right, yeah, and then I'll extrude Z down. There we go. And then what I'll do is, so now what I want to do is I want to grab this edge, so I'll grab X or move, and I can control there to where they're on top of each other. Then I can just say extrude Y, and then I could even pull to that one. And now I can just kind of finish it off by filling my vertices. All right, and then I'll press F there. Make sure I got all my shapes, and then I got a hole down there I want to get rid of. Okay, and then delete that. I'll delete that edge. And then I can put this here. Edges. No, I want to fill. So I'll fill that face. This is the F key. Pull that one. All right. And then I will pull this one. Oops. There we go. Get that last face in there. All right, so I think we're good here. And then the last thing, again, you'll see all my vertices there. I got a lot of vertices, 120. Select everything, press M, merge by distance, and then it kind of reduces my vertex count. So you want to do that so that way you don't have faces sitting on top of each other. So if I actually undo that, and if I was going to say, like, go to my edge right here and grab that. Oops, that's a bad example. Oh, no, there we go. there we go. Okay, now I undid my vertices because I can see right there. So if I go here, if I go to my point selection here and I grab it, well, that's a bad example. There we go. Yeah, you see weird stuff happening because they're not connected right. So I can do that, and then if I select all, merge by distance, then that keeps vertices from sitting on top of each other, and I get deformation in my mesh the way that I want to. Okay, so say File, Save As. This is going to be Part 04, and this is going to be -2. Okay. So again, like always, I want to do this a couple different ways. I'll restart. I'm going to turn on my statistics just so we can keep that looking. So I'm going to go ahead and just draw this a different way now. All right, so I'll delete this. All right, and then I'll go back to this one just to set my origin. Tab into edit mode, select this, Shift S, cursor to select it. Tab back into object mode, Alt G to, oops, there we go. Oh no, I want to do origin to 3D cursor, forgot about that. Object, set origin, origin to 3D cursor, there we go. Then I can Alt G to clear my location, and then we can go from there. And then I'll go ahead and do my dimensions here. Okay, and I'll say I want that to be 50. I want Y to be 30, and I want Z to be 40. Now also, with here, the scales, notice that the scale has changed as well. Now this isn't going to matter too much for this one, but sometimes when you do texturing and you add certain modifiers, the scale can cause problems. So I'm just going to go ahead and Control A, and I'm going to apply the scale. And that's going to turn the scale to 111. Hopefully in a future video I can talk about UVs and texturing and some of the modifiers. But the scale, when you modify a mesh in object mode, it can affect the way modifiers behave if the scale is off. So you want to be mindful of that. And so I'll just go ahead and put these in there. So I'm just adding my loop cuts again because I'm going to go ahead and start just from that base mesh again now. So I'll do that, and then I'll do Control R. I'll do that. Okay, so now with this one, I can also take advantage of some of those doubled vertices. And what I'm going to do this time is I'm actually going to go into face select mode, and I'm just going to extrude some of these faces, and then I'll delete the edges that go in there because I kind of have to go in and fill all of them by themselves. So I'm going to grab these, and I'm going to say extrude. I'm just going to say -10, right? Okay, there we go. All right, so then I'm going to go ahead and grab these ones down here too. I can also press C for like a circle select. I wanted to do, oops. Get that one. There we go. All right, and then and that's why circle select is kind of weird. There we go. Okay, then I'll extrude 10 negative, bring that up. Okay, and then I can just grab these edges here, and then I'll select these edges. Boom, 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 there and there, and I'll delete them, edges. Oh, and then it left the, okay, well actually this is cool too because then it still leaves these edges here. And this is also, again, when you talk about working about vertices, edges, and faces, you can get different behavior depending on what you select there. So because the edges are basically made up of vertices, I can just delete these vertices, X, vertices, there we go. So actually for this one, I'll just grab these vertices here, and then that should kill everything. Delete my vertices there. There we go. Then I'll go back to my edge select mode here, and then I'll delete it from there. So just again, when you're working with different stuff, you can go from that. Now also remember, we still have overlapping kind of stuff here, so we want to be mindful of that. So we want to go ahead and we can do that merge there. So I'll do select all, merge by distance, and you'll notice the vertices over here to keep them overlapping. Okay, now we're back to 96 and 96. And then I can kind of just, I'll pretty much just do the same thing I did before. I'll just delete the edges. It was just the extrude got me there a little bit faster. And I'll go ahead and turn my snapping to vertex. So I can grab that one, and I can pretty much just snap right to that. And I can grab these here. I'll just grab and I'll snap them. Now, what's also in, well, actually, let me back that up a little bit. back up one here. So what's also interesting is, and you can turn this on if you want to, is that you can have auto merge. And what that will do is that will automatically merge vertices when they stick on top of each other. So if I drag here, and then if I grab it and then pull down there, you'll see the vertex counts will actually kind of minimize. So I like to, auto merge can be nice if you're working with certain things. I'm just like to kind of force it on what I'm doing now, but that's just something we can do. I like to just kind of go back and clean them up on my own. Then we'll go back here. I can extrude to there. All right. And then I will fill there. Okay, and I think we're good. I'll just do a final merge. Okay, yeah, there we go. So I got my vertices. I think that's everything. Okay, cool. All right, so then we'll do File, and then I'll save, and then this is going to be part 04-3. Okay, -3 that blend. Okay, and so now one more method I want to demonstrate with this. I'm going to delete my camera and my light source. There we go. I'll go back to this. I want to pull that back corner, go into edit mode, select that, Shift S, cursor to select it, tab to go back into object mode, object, set origin to 3D cursor. I go back to that. I will Alt G to move that back to my origin. I'll press N to bring up the transform menu, or properties menu, excuse me. I'll bring this to 50. Y is going to be 30. And then Z is going to be 40. There we go. All right. And then I'm going to go back into edit mode again. Control R for that way. Control R 3 that way. And I'm changing these by adding the mouse wheel and then right clicking. Control R, mouse wheel to get 2 cuts, left click, right click to move it to the center. Okay. So now what I'm going to do on this last one is you can actually rip edges as well. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to rip some of the edges to get what I want with this. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go into edge select mode, and then I'm going to select here, 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 and here. All right. And what the rip tool, the short key is V, is going to do, when I press V, it's going to rip, and it actually separates the mesh at those places, right? So now what I can do is I can do this, and I can go back into my face mode here. I'll just select all of these. I can grab those faces, grab Z, -10. There we go, and then it just pulls them. Now, what we have to keep in mind here is that those faces are still there on top of each other, so I still need to redouble those vertices. And then again, I can also turn on auto merge here, and then when I go to the bottom, I can go back to my edge select, and I can do edge select is what I want here. Go here, here, basically the same thing here and here. Oh, and actually, let me go ahead and turn on statistics while I'm at it. Forgot to do that. There we go. So you can see my vertices up there. So then I can go here and here, and then I can rip those. All right. So then that's going to give me all of that. All right. And then I can I could even go back and turn on my vertex snapping. So I can grab Z, and I can snap to that. Oh, oops, no, I didn't want to grab. I want to grab the faces. There we go. So I'll grab the faces is what I want to grab. There we go. Grab C. I'll snap to that, and then the vertexes automatically merge. So if I grab these, it'll do like that. But if I go on the top here, you see it still has those faces there. So I still need to do my auto merge. I mean, I still need to do my merge by distance here, but that's just how you change the behavior when auto merge comes off. All right. And then what I can do here is I'll actually grab to here. I'll grab these. I'll grab this edge. I'll rip that as well, because then that'll show from there. And you can rip vertices too. It's just, yeah, you can rip faces. It's just remember that whenever you select a vertice, edge, or face, it's really just a combination of vertices for that. So I'll grab these and bring them right there. There we go. And then I can grab these. And actually, this would be nice if I had left auto merge on. So we can do that, and then we can finish that. And we'll finish it off just like we did before. Just adding these faces, rotating it around there. Oops. Okay, and then finish it off on the bottom here. So I'm still using my fill, and I could just do extrude. So again, it's just different ways to kind of to get to the same place. You know, I could grab both of these at the same time, extrude, snap to there. Okay, grab both of these, extrude, and snap to there. Okay, I think that puts me back in there. Merge by distance. There we go, 90 vertices. And then I will save. This is part 04, 4. Okay. I don't want to overwrite. There we go. All right, save Blender file. Okay, yeah. So again, just more mesh techniques to work your models. Again, even with, you can think about whether you want to use a large vertex count to give you more control of how you mess with things, or maybe you want to minimize it. But even with that, there are a lot of different ways to get around to get to the place where you want to go. Hopefully this was useful, and I'll see you guys on the next one.